As promised, here's the second part of the Getting Started lecture, and I think you might want to have your textbook in front of you as you listen to and view this lecture. I find the textbook very helpful, and over the multiple semesters I've taught this course, I get a lot of comments that students generally like the textbook. Now, I know you don't always like to read all the chapters in a textbook, so I've tried to be very selective, and I've tried to help you find the chapters that relate specifically to the assignment. Excuse me. So if you'd pause this for a minute, get your textbook and open to Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is about analyzing a text, and most college writing is about analysis. It's not about summary. Don't forget, your professors have already read all this material, and they don't want to read it again. Instead, they want you to analyze it. They want you to tell us what it means. Okay, what does a text actually mean? I'm not talking about hidden meaning or symbolism, those kinds of things you did in high school. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about critical thinking, where you look at something within its larger context, where you look at it and say, aha. It's those aha moments that really count in life. And this isn't just a mere academic exercise. The purpose of this literary analysis is to help you write similar analysis for all your different classes that you're going to be taking, and it's to help you succeed as a citizen, as a person, as a fully actualized human being in the larger society. Because everything you're doing is part of a larger conversation, okay? Your personal life, your job, school, you're not reinventing the wheel, okay? You're part of a larger conversation, and if you understand that larger conversation, it really helps you kind of move forward and stay upwardly mobile. And that's the whole point, of course, of going to college. So to the specific assignment, to the Faulkner essay, if you'd start and look at Chapter 7 very carefully, I think you'll find it very, very helpful. You might ask yourself, why did I pick Faulkner? I picked Faulkner because he wrote within a larger context. He wrote within the history of the South. He wrote within the location of the South. This all revolves around American history, and I know students often don't like history, which is too bad, because if you don't know where you've been, you don't really know where you are, and you certainly don't know where you're going, okay? And this is most often the case that you don't like it because of the way it was taught. It was taught around, memorization, that kind of thing. No, once again, it's about understanding the larger context. What is the meaning of things? And this is what critical thinking is all about. So more than anything, this essay is aimed at causing you to sort of push your critical thinking skills. And Faulkner is a very good way to do that, okay? There's a lot of submerged issues in the short story because it's part of a larger context. It's part of the whole history of the South. It's part of the whole history of the United States. Plus, it's a large part of the way men have treated women throughout the centuries, okay? This is very, very submerged in the essay, but if you look at it carefully and listen to, and look at your comments and the discussions about feminism and Marxism, you'll really start to understand some of the subtle points that Faulkner's probing, okay? Talented authors are always pushing something. They're always kind of needling something, they're pricking something. And in this case, Faulkner's looking at the way men treat women, at the way women are treated within the larger society, and also at the economy of the South and how it's constructed and how this affects everybody within the South and within the larger context of the entire United States. And these issues are still very current and very relevant today. He was writing in the 30s, which is only 70, 80 years ago, okay? So the place to begin, of course, is to look at the discussions. I've said this earlier. Make sure you understand the brainstorming that's been going on, and this is going to give you some ideas. And then what I want you to do is work on a kind of formulating a claim. What would you like to say? What would you actually like to say about the Faulkner essay? I'm not talking about summary, okay? I'm not talking about summary. I've read this multiple times. That's not the point. If you look through the Chapter 7, you'll find where it talks about analyzing the argument. You'll find a way of actually organizing a textual analysis. There's actually a very, very good outline there. There's even a better outline in the related chapter to this, Chapter 14, which I'll get to in a minute. But basically, you need to have a claim. What is the overall thing you want to say about the Faulkner essay in terms of feminism and Marxism? And the two are so closely related. If you want to cover both, that's fine. As I said earlier, please make sure you start by looking at the discussions and then go to the research. Go to the Literature Resource Center. Go to item 3.3 in the Learning module. Make sure you understand how the Literature Resource Center works. Make sure you find the articles I referred to and read those too. And this is part of the brainstorming process. And this will cause you to find something you specifically want to say. Okay? So after you've looked through Chapter 7, please go on and turn to Chapter 14. That's a little bit more down to the nitty-gritty. And basically, you need to construct a thesis statement in your first paragraph that holds you steady and true to the rest of the essay. Remember I said earlier, or I'm going to say it now, a 3-page essay usually has about 9 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs per page. Okay. First paragraph is always the introduction, which states the overall direction that this following essay is going to take. And then you have the conclusion, which kind of creates a mirror image of the introduction. The conclusion simply summarizes what you've said and reflects back in the thesis statement to show the reader that indeed you covered what you promised you were going to do in the thesis statement. So chapter 14 walks you through this. And basically chapter 14 is saying that you're actually writing an argument, which you're also going to do in the next unit. And an argument simply means it's not a fight, between you and your significant other. Okay, it's not a fight. It's a statement that you want to make and defend. That's what an argument is. It's a position you're going to take and you're going to defend it in your essay. That's how your essay unfolds. It's kind of your defense of your thesis statement. And you do this by supporting what you just said, and you support it throughout your essay. This is how you build out the 3 pages, by making sure you've done the research, by referring to the research in your paragraphs, and to prove your points that you're making each paragraph. And then you're also taking some text directly from the Faulkner short story and showing the reader how this fits in with the argument. How does this text prove that what you're saying is correct? So it's a combination of the text from Faulkner that kind of supports your thesis statement and supports each topic sentence, and then it's the research itself that proves that you're true. Okay. So the trick is to pull the two together into your own thinking, that you're showing the reader what you're thinking, and you're showing the reader that what you're thinking is a good way to think. Okay, it's an accurate way to think. So it requires the 2 elements. It requires the research, and it also requires the supporting material directly from Faulkner's text to show the reader. You can't just tell the reader, you have to show them. Okay. So what you'll see in both Chapter 7 and Chapter 14 are some model essays, and I said this earlier. They're simply models. They simply show you, okay, how good writing looks, how a good writer brings in the original text, how the good writer brings in the research, and then you combine it in your own words to show the reader what you mean. Don't let either Faulkner's text or the research write the essay for you. Every paragraph needs to begin with the point you want to make. That's what your argument is, all right? That's your topic sentence for that paragraph. Your topic sentence, in some fashion, must relate back to your thesis statement, which is your introduction. So every paragraph needs to relate to the introduction. Every paragraph needs to specifically focus on the first sentence of that paragraph, which is your topic sentence for that paragraph. And your topic sentence, in some fashion, must reflect on your thesis statement. Let's prove it, or sometimes you can say on the other hand, or other people think that kind of thing. But those topic sentences that begin each paragraph are always your own writing. Don't ever let it be anybody else's writing. Make sure you begin every paragraph with the point you want to make, and then use Faulkner or your research to support and prove that point. Okay. So please make sure you do the Literary Resource Center research before you start writing this essay. Do some more brainstorming by looking at the discussions. Make yourself a list of the points you want to make. If you can come up with 7 points that you'd like to make about the Faulkner short story, you've got your essay written, okay? Take each one of those points. Each point becomes a paragraph. Find the research and the comments directly out of the Faulkner story that support and illustrate that point. You've built a paragraph. You're in good shape. There is a excellent outline in Chapter 14, those little block formats that they have, showing you how an essay can unfold. Be sure to look at those. Be sure to look at the model essays, okay? Basically, essays are constructed from your own thinking, but your own thinking comes from doing the brainstorming, and the brainstorming comes from doing the research, and of course from reading multiple times the original source material. As I said earlier, this is not an empty exercise. This is something that in the business world, in the real world, people are going to ask you to do. They're going to throw stuff at you and say, hey, what does this mean? It doesn't matter if you're in the Army, if you're doing police work, you have a situation, you need to tell your superiors what it meant. Okay, it's not just a question of repeating it, right, or summarizing it. It's a question of saying, what does all this mean? What did we learn from this? So my point that I'm asking you to do here is to show me what you've learned from reading the Faulkner short story and what you've learned from understanding the history at the time, the culture at the time, and from the theory that helps illuminate the history at the time.